this is one of the submissions that we had. This is an example of framing, isn't it? This is a framing. Somebody saw that, and the frame went in there, and you put the kids in the frame. That's the obvious choice, isn't it? Yeah. So why is this photo not working? You need to ask yourself that. So Nikki, why is this photo not working for you?
The subjects are not the biggest.
What about the random people on the left walking to their car?
Yeah, very distracting. Lots of colors happening in the background. Their faces, it's just all, yeah.
Do you see?
Invisible plane is going to hit her knees.
Exactly. Do you see more and more now?
Oh, yeah.
Let me go through some of these quickly, because I want to show these are the photos that we submitted that you needed help with. Remember that? Mm-hmm. However, let the record show, you still took these at a job. Okay? Let me back up. What's not working for you, Mallory?
Something about the pose.
Is it too contrived, like you're trying too hard to pose?
Yeah.
Is it flawless and
posed.
finessed?
No.
What else is not working for you, my friend Pepe?
A couple things that stand out right away when I see the pictures. First, the arm just hanging out like a monkey arm.
Good job.
Making her look more bigger.
Is her thigh helping the photo?
No.
No.
And also the wall on my left, the yellowish wall with the bright strip at the end.
Yep. Also notice the position of the main light source is right in the bottom of her jaw. You see that? It's not in her eyes. Your attention kind of goes like this. It kind of goes like, boom, here first, because this is the brightest part. And then it goes right there second. And then you realize, oh wait, the whole pose is really awkward. Does that make sense? Now, if I want to give you guys an assignment and give everyone watching this on the internet an assignment, take a screenshot of this while you're watching and write down everything that you can imagine that's not working for this photo, and then write down in another column how you would solve these issues. That's what I did all the time. And I would wash dishes and be like, why is that not working? And I would just keep pushing myself, because sometimes when you're thinking about it, it doesn't come. But my wife makes me wash dishes all the time. She says everything has to be split 50-50. And I agree. So I'm washing the dishes because she cooked. And if I cook, she washes the dishes. So I picked up cooking a lot more. I'm watching the chef or the Food Network channel. That's what you gotta do. Take a look at this, do one column. What's not working? How can you solve it? Grab a friend, put her against the same type of wall, one wall this way, one wall this way, put a friend there, anybody, and fix it. And you will start to make you'll start to make what they call synaptic connections in your brain between the neurons and stuff like that. That's how you get to become more long-term instead of just keeping it for those 5 minutes short-term memory that we have. Okay? What would you do with this photo? How would you fix it? Okay? Now, I want to show some serious contrast between day one for you guys and the incredible photos you took yesterday. The photos we took together. Remember yesterday in the little yard? Yeah. Now for everyone watching, we were stuck in that little yard. We could not even move all around the yard. We were very limited. To make matters worse, I told my students, you have to stick to this building right now. You cannot even get away from that building. Or I said, you have to use the grass. And probably about 50 problems came. The sun was in the wrong place, the bushes were too high, the model was 7 feet tall. Remember? We had all these problems and we started solving them little by little. From day one, when you guys came in, to today, look at the difference. This is what was going on in the work before. Granted, it's photos that you needed help with, but still. And now let's switch gears to the photos you took yesterday by David. Can we give him a round of applause, please? Okay, I'm serious. That's just wrong when I saw that, because he saw those little blue, purple, those little white. What were they?
Bars. The bars on the.
Just little plastic tubes that were not doing anything for the scene, right? But look what he'd used. This is what I'm talking about. This is the MacGyvers in all of us, right? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you find solutions, no matter where you're at. Somebody, I can probably assure you, before 3 days from now, you probably would have seen those poles as a distraction, or you probably wouldn't have even noticed them.
Right.
Now we look at these poles, and we're like, the background is symmetrical. The background has patterns and repetitions. I can use it. The background is a seamless color, right? It's just a one seamless color background. These white poles are now can be used as a frame. And he is just, your eyes just go right to him. You see what I mean? Yep. Look at his body position. It's pretty relaxed and comfortable. I took this one. But I took this one, and actually, let me show you this. What do you notice first about this photograph, besides the fact that you just feel like it's like a painting or something? You see how the background is going with her eye tone and all of these different things? When I saw that purple tree in the background, I was just like, that purple tree has gaps on the right, but it's pretty full of branches on the left. We used the 85 millimeter, remember this, friend? We used the 85, we switched from the 7200 to the 85 millimeter 1.2, which is one of the reasons why we're talking about execution today. This was execution at its best. If I would have kept the 7200, this wouldn't have worked like this. This is about part of my execution chart. It clearly says, if you guys are looking at it online, it says perspective through lenses. That's the perspective through the lens. That's the 85. Why do I say this? Because when I go do photo shoots with my friends or with whoever, I see them having a lens in their camera and they stick to that lens for the entire photo shoot. And I'm like, dude, you are lazy or something, and you're gonna complain in a year that you're out of business because you're not utilizing your tools for the right job. You know, you have all these lenses in your bag, yet you're just keeping the 24-70 or the 70-100 the whole time. This is the result of the 85 1.2. Those trees in the back is the result of patterns and repetitions in the background. This photo is a result of subject emphasis at its best. They are the biggest, she is the biggest, she is the brightest, and she is definitely the one in focus, okay? So then when it's your turn and you take this photo, you shouldn't be surprised. If you listen to those 3 subject emphasis rules, you're gonna be taking photos like this all the time because you have no choice. So you shouldn't be surprised. This is another version of creative crop, okay? Now, in my execution chart, it has beauty through angles. Remember I told you to imagine the crop before you take the photo? I thought her eye was just incredibly beautiful. And one way to really get that eye to pop out is to kind of do this half crop thing. Like if I cover Mallory's face with my paper and I bring your chin down for a bit, bring your chin down, because you only see one eye, the mystery behind the other eye just eats you up. You see what I mean? I can see everybody, like if I look at you this way, here there's no mystery. I see Fran at its best. It's just, there's Fran. But in photography, maybe try to add a little mystery into the photo. Maybe try to add a little mystery. Bring your chin to the right. Bring your chin down. Now I look at half her face, and I'm dying to see the other half. And it makes you love it. It's that anticipation. You know what I mean? By the way, you should know, in your brain, the feeling of anticipation releases as much, what's that chemical? Endorphins as
chocolate.
The stuff you buy illegally. Endorphins go into your brain, they shoot out. Whenever you have anticipation, you're like waiting for something to happen, and you're just like, endorphins are flying through your brain. And you can do that by adding mystery to a photograph. That's why it creates like a little bit of a mental pleasure to look at it.
Quick question.
Yeah.
In this photo, what was the lighting source?
We had a diffuser and a reflector.
Okay.
The diffuser was to soften the light from the sunspots. The reflector was to add a punch of light to the other side of the face.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
This is another version of the same. That's 3 different types of photos that were taken literally 5-7 seconds apart with very different feels, right? So when somebody tells me, you only have 5 minutes, I'm like, thank you. I'll take a nap after minute 2. You see what I'm saying? Because you can create stuff like this. Take a look at the 3-point check in the Lucky 7, 21 points. You have the collarbones facing this way, you have the nose facing this way, but you have the eyes facing the camera. So then when you wonder, why does it look so good? Now you know. You have this, this, and this with the eyes, and it just creates all kinds of angles. I repeat, it creates all kinds of angles. I repeat, it creates all kinds of angles. Now you look at the execution chart for today, and you see how it says beauty through angles. Beauty through angles. Angles are the most amazing photography tool you'll ever have.
Can you, from Johanna Safia, can you back up and explain why the 85 millimeter worked better than the 70-200 in that close-up of the bride?
The 85 can go to 1.2. I took this picture at 2.0. 2.0 is drastically different than 2.8. 2.8, not to mention the way the bokeh, or whatever you say that, bokeh, whatever the bokeh, whatever the blurry part of the lens, the way that 85 creates the bokeh is different than the bokeh that comes out of the 70-200. Now, I know you're gonna not be surprised by this, but you can ask my wife. I took probably 100 photos with my 70-200 in the same place, and then I took the same photo in the same place with my 85 and my 50 and my 35, and I compared the bokeh so I could study what the bokeh looks like. So then I can be like, I want this bokeh, I know what lens to choose. See what I mean? It was actually a pretty fun exercise. Take a photo of this water bottle in a very noisy background and study what the background looks like with the 85. Then go to your 2.8 lens, or your 70-200. Obviously, you have to keep the aperture the same. Keep the apertures at 2.8. So 2.8 with the 35, 2.8 with the 50, 2.8 with the 85, 2.8 with the 70-200. And you'll see that there's a very distinct character in all the bouquets of each lens. And if you do that maybe once a month, you take maybe 3 photos with each lens, your brain will start to remember what the characteristics of that bouquet is or are. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. When I saw these plants, whenever there's sun going through a tree of any kind or any kind of Christmas lights or anything like that, I usually go for my prime lenses because the bouquet creates the most beautiful little sphere of light with any kind of sparkle of light that's shining through the sun, through the trees. It creates like this looks like little angels just kind of like in the background. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I found that the 70-200 can do that too, but only if you zoom in at 200 millimeters. And sometimes you may not have that space to move back, right? So this photo looks beautiful, but it has years of experience to take it. And it has hundreds of hours of work and practice to create this. So when people say, I'll do your engagement photo shoot in 10 minutes, they're like, but I'm paying you $5,000. It's 10 minutes. And I'll create this all the time. Or would you rather have 6 hours and have my first year photos? Right? Now let's take a look at some of the other student photos. I took this one, I took this one, I took this one, just to show you guys angles. But compared to what you guys were giving me, look at the new photos you guys took yesterday. That's you guys now. We worked on this together. Who posted this? I don't even know. Oh yeah, this was No, I think I think it was Mallory actually.
Mallory.
Yeah,
Was
it
it?
was Mallory.
Because I didn't have the
This is a
Oh, yeah,
photo
yeah,
where
yeah.
we had. This is the photo where we had the background that was kind of brighter than them, and then we put a flash behind them, and we underexposed a little bit. You can see it's underexposed now. It's undertoned, and then the flash pops it, and then the flash goes around. Now look at the feeling in the photo. Does this photo have some soul to it? And most importantly, do you feel an instant human connection with a photo? You have something about you that says, I want to be in love like that. Like, I want to feel whatever they're feeling. And when you do that, you take your viewer's attention from the technicalities of the photo because you just lost them in the emotional impact of the photo. Okay? And that's the best. Mm-hmm. And I relate with when I used to be a classical guitarist. When I used to be a classical guitarist and I was playing in concert, I was playing by myself. It was like a chair and like 400 people who paid a ticket and they had dates. Their guys brought their dates and they were all coming in and everybody was wearing a suit and I was wearing a suit, you know what I mean? And then they would introduce me and I would come out with my guitar and everybody would clap and stand up and everybody would get super quiet so I could start playing. And I remember my first few concerts, I was trying to impress the audience by how fast my fingers could move. And I was more concerned about showing my technicalities that people were not enjoying the concert as much. They were just like lost in my fingers going like 100 miles per hour. And they were just like, what did you think of the music? I don't know, I never heard it. You see what I mean? It's like looking at a photo and you don't even see the soul because you're like, there's no heart, there's no feeling. When I became a more experienced concert guitarist, I started training to make my finger movements so subtle that the music would come out, but you hardly even saw my fingers move. It was just like tiny little movements, but the music was just flying out of the guitar. And then people were just lost in the moment of the guitar and the music that was coming out. And you should have seen the applause afterwards. I mean, standing ovation craziness. It was like 300 people just like, you know what I mean? And I learned something. It's not about trying to show your technical skills and stuff. It's like finesse your skills so well that you will lose people in what you're showing. You know what I mean? What you're doing. I want to remind the people watching online, these are the photos that we came up with yesterday. I mean, you guys post this and photograph this stuff. So it's pretty cool. Major improvements. Let's take a look at another one. I took this photo. Remember this photo? What did I use to create that? It was like this stupid little dead piece of white wood just kind of sitting there with a bunch of spider webs, by the way, right? That's what you call transforming the whole thing and making it look really great, okay? You see how her neck is bending forward, but it's tilting down. And you see also how I created movement by having her take that one step. When I started posting this, she wasn't looking good. Like she was kind of acting like she was taking a step, but it wasn't looking real. So I said to Keisha, go ahead and take a step forward. And then I said, take a step back. And then I said, take a look at the ground, lift up your dress. You can still see the clamp in the back, you see it? Lift up your dress, take a step, look at the ground, hold it up. And then she took a step forward. I had a wireless flash. Julia was holding a wireless flash that I gave her. But you have to have the forethought. You see, these plants are pretty bright. So I needed to have something to separate her from it. Without the flash, she wouldn't look like this. She would just look dark on this side, and this would compete against her way too much. Does that make sense? This is the photo, I think David took this one, right? Yeah. This is where we had her walk. We were trying to create a photojournalistic feel, so we had her walk away instead of just standing and posing, remember? And then we had darkness in his face, and we fixed it by using a wireless flash, right? And now that brightness of hers is matching the brightness of his, and that looks really cool. Oh, by the way, that's the little wooden thing that we used to create this photograph.
And it was a nighttime.
What's that?
It wasn't nighttime.
Right. It was, yeah, this wasn't even nighttime. It looks nighttime, right?
Yeah.
That's why cameras are so cool. You can make it day, you can make it night, you can make it morning, you can make it sunset. You can do whatever you want. You can use a little crappy dead wood looking thing and turn it into a work of art. Right? This is Pepe. Remember Pepe? Do you feel the energy here? Yeah. Okay? Look at the way their hands, this is finessing the photograph. And we turned it into a silhouette. This is Juliana here, using the ramp. You have the leaves, you have leaves on the floor. It looks like a bride walking out of her wedding in Paris. And yes, let me say to the audience, yes, we do have a distracting line. If you really wanted to, you can Photoshop it out. But that was the only thing in this photo that's not ideal, is to have this line here. You could always crop it just to show this part, and it creates that mystery. Does that make sense? This is Nikki's photo at the end, and this is the black and white version of that. Look at the lighting, look at the way the background looks. Nothing's distracting about this photograph. You can see the bride and groom right away. And then Nikki posed this, and she posed this, and she used the T-bone pose to create this feeling. And she locked the eyes herself. And now we have this kind of photograph. So this is what we're getting now after just 2 days of retraining our brain, pushing the reset button in the head, and starting over with a different perspective.